Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video, we are going to be looking at the top 10 worst, or at least most disappointing figures for the year. Now, I'm mostly going on if it should have been better, or could have been better, or was too expensive, anything that would just make it a bad value proposition for a collector. And this list could change easily. There's lots of bad figures that came out this year, especially with the prices just rocketing across most lines. We didn't usually see the quality go up in accordance. So this list could be very different if I was doing it on a different day, or if you were doing it. So if you have different opinions about these figures that I'm talking about here, let me know in the comment section below. If you have your own list figured out, or you want to do that, post that in the comment section below. It's always fun to have everybody look at each other's lists and just discuss that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun, but let's go ahead and just get into this because it's gonna be a bumpy ride. So let's start with an honorable mention. It is the Zord Ascension Project Megazord, and this thing isn't actually that bad. It's just bad compared to what it should have been. This should have been Hasbro's chance to make a really collector level figure, and they didn't do it. They made a really fancy box and a very half-assed figure. There are some decisions with this thing that just make no sense at all, that are a downgrade from even the very first Megazord that came out all those years ago. So this figure is not horrible, and I don't think it's that bad based on the price, but it definitely could have been a whole lot better for the price, and even if they wanted to charge a little bit more, it could have been leaps and bounds better than it actually was. So it's pretty disappointing to me. Coming in at number 10, we actually have two figures. I'm putting them in the same spot because they kind of have the same problems. We have the McFarlane Toys Clayface, which really does just look like a pile of crap rather than looking like what Clayface looks like. It's not accurate, and it's very poorly executed. They had very little to do with this figure to make it good, and they didn't. They couldn't even get the brown consistent. The articulation, which could have been done easily, is horrible. And then we have the Titan Joker, which is wildly inaccurate to the source material and horribly executed. The washes, the coloring, the paint, none of it is good. The sculpt is bad, the joints are terrible. There's just nothing good about either of these two figures, really, practically speaking. Like, you might be able to pick little tiny things out that are okay, but overall, not good releases at all. And then coming in at number 9, this is just a personal disappointment for me, and actually their bad figures is like most of the X-Men animated series based Marvel Legends. Some of them are okay, like Cyclops is pretty good, Wolverine's passable, but most of them are pretty bad. Even if the core figures themselves aren't that bad, the paint jobs are atrocious. They're so half-assed, so little effort was put into these when they should have been like the gold standard for Marvel Legends. They really cashed in, upped the price, and just totally crapped on the customers. So yeah, these X-Men figures are a big disappointment for the year. For number 8, we have Tim Drake Robin from McFarlane Toys Gold Label, a premium figure, sort of, kind of, no, not really. It's actually really horrible. Easily one of the ugliest figures we've seen from McFarlane Toys. The proportioning is terrible. The color choice of the molded plastics, terrible. Paintwork, non-existent or terrible. It's just all around awful. It looks nothing like it's supposed to, and the articulation is horrible to go with it. It's hard to find anything that's good about this figure, other than I think the domino mask is pretty clean, but that's about it. Alright, number 7, we have Catwoman. We have the McFarlane Toys Catwoman, which is one of the least proportionate figures I have ever looked at. This looks like it was made by 3 different people, and 2 of them at least had their eyes closed. Everything that this figure could have had went into the ass. It's huge and misshapen, and you might get some people who say, hey, some women have really big butts. Yeah, that's true, but they're not tall and slender like this and have a little tiny upper body and giant long legs and then really round ham-shaped asses. This figure is all around a mess and one of the worst figures of the year by a mile. And it would be higher up if there weren't other figures that I had to put before it. Which leads me to number 6, and this is going to make a lot of people very mad, but hey, I'm not here to make you happy, I'm here to tell you the truth, and the Mezco Wolverine is easily one of the worst figures of the year, given the price point and the quality. I could stop at proportions, and that would be enough. This figure is way too expensive to come in a lunchbox and have really bad proportions, but they went the extra mile and gave you really crappy looking cloth, pleather, underwear, and skin tone that looks terrible. Also, this figure can't pose very well. I don't even care about the fact that it's half cloth, half plastic. That's what it's supposed to be, so that's fine. That's not even part of the metric here. The metric is the cloth parts are bad. The head is oversized, his body's not shaped properly, it looks nothing like a comic book character, it looks like a guy in cosplay if that guy was horribly deformed. Coming in at number 5, we have the Hatut, or however you pronounce it, Zerazi, or however you pronounce it, Marvel Legends figure, which is easily one of the lowest effort figures Hasbro has ever produced. It's almost purely just white plastic on a bad body mold that's not accurate to the source material, doesn't come with the details it needs to in having the harnesses and things, and then the paintwork that is on there is very, very poorly implemented. It's just a perfect example of how little Hasbro cares about their customers and how much they care about their bottom line, and cashing in on Black Panther being popular thanks to Chadwick, is his name Chadwick? Yeah, Chadwick Boseman dying. They just totally cashed in on that and figured people were going to buy anything Black Panther, and I don't know if they did, but that's what this figure is. It's no effort at all. Okay, so going into number 4, we actually have 2 figures again. We have the SH Figure Arts Androids from Dragon Ball Super. These figures were premium Bandai, came with a premium price tag, and they are just a very, very poorly executed. Quality control very low on these 2 figures. The colors of the plastic for the skin, the paint job on the face, mine was missing eyebrows, the eyes were misaligned, the articulation doesn't work well. Like, they took the most easy designs from all of Dragon Ball to make good action figures out of and just totally crapped the bed. They don't pose well, they don't look good, and they cost way, way too much. Coming in at number 3, we have the SH Figure Arts The Batman. Regardless of how you may feel about the movie, which was clearly the best Batman movie of all time, this figure is bad. The cape is horrible. He can't move his shoulders while his cape is on because the cape has a hard plastic shell at the top and then a really crappy cloth cape at the bottom with wires that don't connect to anything, so they don't work. The articulation is just about worthless from the waist up. Really low quality control. Lots of the plastic has nicks and scratches and marred spots on it. The knees look ridiculous. The posability is just not there. And he's got bad proportioning. And then, like I said, the cape is just ridiculous. So for the price point, which is fairly hefty, this figure is nowhere close to what it should have been. Speaking of price points and figures not being what they should have been, coming in for number 2, we have the SH Figure Arts Battle Clothes Krillin. Maybe their worst release yet. I'm not sure, but I think it might be. I have to go through and check because they've had a couple of real stinkers. Despite most of the line being really solid, boy, is this one bad. And being a PB exclusive, meaning bigger price tag, it's just a slap in the face. It's almost like they tried to make this one bad. They did things on this figure that they have done better versions of across the board. Like, I don't know how they managed to make it this bad. He can't even stand up practically because his feet don't go flat. His heads are actually painted rather than molded plastic, even though every figure from Bandai has always had molded plastic heads. It doesn't articulate well. It doesn't have good accessories. It doesn't have any accessories in, like, as far as energy effects. Nothing about this figure is as good as it should have been, especially given the price point. But even if this was at a normal price point, this figure is pretty ridiculous. And then lastly, you guys might not be surprised by this. Coming in at number 1, we have the Beast Kingdom Black Suit Superman. This figure is right up there at the very top of my worst figures I've ever looked at list. This one, and then I would say probably the 3A Master Chief from forever ago, right at the top there. This thing is an abomination to all things action figures. The clothing is not particularly well done. The underbody, the sculpted parts are horribly, laughably, disgustingly bad. It falls apart. The head is humongous. The shoulders are nowhere near where they belong. Like, there's just... I mean, you can see it, right? I don't really need to even say anything. I could have just said the name of it and shown you the picture, and you'd have been like, yeah, I get it. And you probably do, because it's that bad. This thing... I'm sorry that Big Bad Toy Store sent me this as a review sample, because, I mean, my word to them is to vet what figures you are putting your name on. That's all I'm saying, because Beast Kingdom really made everyone look bad who bought this. It's offensive to anyone who collects action figures that this figure exists. Okay. There it is, guys. That's my top 10 worst figures of the year, or at least most disappointing. Again, let me know if you disagree with anything I said, or if you agree with everything, or whatever. You know, let me know your list. We'll all talk about it in the comment section below, and we'll have some fun ending the year with a couple of laughs. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day, and I have thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.